The child in front of him was just suffocating in the water for 58 seconds. He thought he could participate in the Olympic Games. Then he went down the stairs. Even at 3 o'clock in the morning, he insisted on going to the competition. His mother asked him to stop and ask him where he was going in the middle of the night. Eddie was confident enough to tell his mother that he was going to Rome to participate in the underwater suffocation competition. He was different from many mothers. He didn't hit or scold such a child. Instead, he gave him a teacher's box and encouraged him to put the box on. He put all the gold medals he won in it and watched Eddie run out of the house late at night. His mother yelled at his father, "Hurry up and get your son back." His father found Eddie at the bus station. He brought him home with love. Obviously, his father was really tortured by his own son. This little thing was still playing mud yesterday. Today, he's playing with his breath. Because Eddie has had a dream since he was a child. That is to be able to compete in the Olympic Games. When Eddie took off his gas mask, he became more and more passionate about this love. The long-distance jump is always the first thing to do. Even a weight will fall. A fitness ball almost killed him. However, the box that his mother gave him was filled with a pair of broken glasses. Not long after, he got into a big trouble again. He broke the glass in the house when he was practicing the dart. His father couldn't bear it. He was very angry with Eddie. He said, "You're not fit to be an athlete at all. From today on, follow me to the construction site to move bricks. At least you won't get into trouble." However, I just came to the construction site with my father. Recently, in order to go home early to edit the video, I bought a car on purpose. So I bought a Tesla on Guazi's second-hand car. It only cost 99,000 yuan. Guazi has tens of thousands of different configurations of Benz, BMW and Tesla. There are more choices than offline stores. Each car of Guazi has been tested by the official. It can be sent to the door for 3 days. If there is an old car, it can also be auctioned at a high price. In short, buy a second-hand car and identify Guazi. Go to the Guazi app and have a look. Eddie found the door to the new world again. He looked at the ski trail on the other side of the iron net. If you want to try it, try the Winter Olympics. He hung a poster in his room. He was full of expectations for his goal. Every day's training was fun. Eddie also won a lot of medals. He finally found a sport that best suited him. He was about to win the Winter Olympics. Eddie also gradually realized his dream. But at this time, the head of the election committee told Eddie that his national team's career was over. Although Eddie's performance was not inferior to any other player, the person in charge rejected his application for the national team for lack of education and respect. He left without a word of mockery. "You were not born to participate in the Olympics." This sentence disappointed Eddie. Once again, he was expelled from the door of his dream. His father was comforting Eddie on the construction site. "Skiing is not a decent job and you can't make a lot of money. Why don't you work on the construction site with him? At least you can support your family in the future." Eddie seems to have really accepted his fate this time. He has made up his mind to quit skiing. He was packing up his skiing stuff. His mother was testing him. "Even if you treat it as a game, you won't ski anymore, will you? It's about time I started paying my rent." However, at the moment he turned around, he saw a poster of ski jumping. A bold idea appeared in his mind. At that moment, the fire in his heart was ignited again. Ski jumping is a very attractive sport, but it's also full of uncontrollable dangers. You can't avoid it if you're not careful enough. However, all this couldn't stop Eddie from chasing his dream. He went to the Olympic Committee to ask for information about ski jumping. What surprised him was that since 1929, there had been no ski jumping team in the UK. He didn't plan to form a team again. When he heard this, Eddie was very happy, because he wanted to serve the country in person. Without any competitive conditions, he went to fulfill his Olympic dream. Then he went home and took out his skiing board. He was ready to go to Germany for training. His hair was very long. Then Eddie packed his luggage and went out. It was still the same old place. His father shook the window and persuaded him patiently. "The world doesn't belong to you at all." But Eddie didn't listen to what he said this time. His father had to go back home by foot. After a days-long journey, Eddie finally arrived at the ski training ground. He looked at the high platform and was full of yearning in his heart. However, he had to solve the problem of speed first. A kind restaurant owner took Eddie in and asked him to do some chores in the restaurant, so that he had enough time for self-training. He first climbed the 15-meter platform. This height is not a problem for him, but he felt invincible. Then his eyes fell on the 40-meter platform. He was thrown to the ground without hesitation. Now he finally understood that skiing on the platform is not an easy thing. The restaurant owner advised him to invite a coach to train himself. At that time, a big bearded coach was passing by. But when Eddie met the big bearded coach, he laughed at him. Others start learning skiing at the age of 6. It's almost impossible to train a 22-year-old senior skier. However, Eddie didn't believe in this idea at all. Without a coach, he also believed in it. So he climbed the 40-meter platform again. If it wasn't an accident, he would have fallen again. But in Eddie's mind, there seems to be no such thing as giving up. Although he failed every time, he still climbed down without hesitation. But this time he broke his finger. An uncle who looks like a golden wolf couldn't stand it anymore. He was not out of sympathy, but Eddie disturbed his work. He reminded Eddie not to climb the 70-meter platform, because he didn't want to see a dead body next time. Eddie was very puzzled. How could a bankrupt person know so much? The restaurant owner told him that his name was Logan. He was once an excellent athlete. He made many records at the Olympics. But Logan was too proud. He was addicted to alcohol every day. In the end, he was kicked out by the national team. Now he has become a useless slacker. When he heard this news, Eddie was like a savior. He asked Logan to be his personal coach. Logan also kicked him out of the room mercilessly. He helped Eddie find him in the bar. He put him up like a piece of dog skin ointment. He chased him like a mad dog. Maybe it was because he was drunk. Or maybe it was because he loved skiing. In the end, Logan decided to take Eddie as his disciple. First, he introduced him to the action drills. He told Eddie to look for the fun of flying. He had to be like an eagle with wings. He had to lean forward when landing, so that he could fly like a bird. He told him everything in theory. Logan came to the ski resort with the help of alcohol. He demonstrated a 90-meter jump. The people under the jump were shocked. Everyone thought that this drunk man was going to die. But Logan was relaxed. He slowly lit a cigarette. Then it was a 90-meter push-up. He was having a lot of fun on the slide. From the moment he rushed out of the slide, he put the cigarette aside. He was preparing for his flying. He was like a bird that could fly. Everyone was fascinated by him. He landed steadily after flying for dozens of meters. This so-called perfect performance was a show of Eddie's face. He was confident that he could fly. The next day, he went up to the 40-meter jump. He repeated the moves that Logan taught him. Then he jumped. Although he didn't fly far this time, at least he landed safely. However, this success made him want to challenge the 70-meter jump. Eddie turned around and asked Logan for advice. He said coldly, as long as he didn't fall to death. Then Eddie carefully climbed up. In fact, Logan also cares about his safety. The reason why he said that is because he was sure that Eddie wouldn't dare to jump from the 70-meter high platform. When he landed on the platform, Eddie was scared to death by the 70-meter jump for the first time. It was a mysterious height. He almost lost his life. He was a little hesitant to sit down. He wanted to give up. There was nothing to be ashamed of. Facing such a high place, it was difficult for anyone to make a choice. Eddie turned around and hoped that others could push him. However, he accidentally slipped out. This time, he was afraid that it would be difficult to escape. He tried hard to adjust his body balance. But as soon as he took off, he fell hard. Logan rushed to the rescue immediately. When he arrived, Eddie was thrown to the ground and didn't move. In the hospital, Logan turned over his former coach's book. The book's evaluation of Logan is that he is the most talented player ever coached. But he is also the most disappointing one. As an athlete, only talent is far from enough. The key is to meet the belief that you will never give up when you meet setbacks. He looked at Eddie in a coma. At that time, he realized that what Eddie had was what he lacked. Logan planned to help a stubborn Eddie. He took out a promotional bill for the championship. If Eddie could land smoothly in the game, he could participate in the Olympic Games. So he did a set of targeted special training for him. Under the guidance of Coach Logan, Eddie found an indescribable feeling. He gained unprecedented freedom in flying. And Eddie finally came to the most important moment. Once again, he stepped on the 70-meter platform. He bravely jumped down. He remembered the action commands taught by Logan and flew out from the slide. This time, he landed safely. Although only 34 meters, it exceeded the previous record. At the same time, he also received an invitation from the Olympic Committee. After the two celebrated with a toast, Eddie took the letter to the British Olympic Committee. He thought he could finally shine at the Olympic Games. Unexpectedly, the person in charge suddenly changed the requirements for the game. Eddie must fly 61 meters away in the preliminaries to be qualified to sign up for the Olympic Games. The reason for the sudden change in the rules is because of the Olympic Committee. They don't want to spend money on athletes who have no chance of winning. Seeing the ridicule of this group of people, Eddie felt very helpless. But he wouldn't give up so easily. Eddie contacted Logan and asked him to go to the European tournament with him. Now he only needs a car and $1 million to set off immediately. However, when he went home to ask his father for money, his father directly refused. He wanted to get some money out of his pocket. Don't even think about it. In his opinion, being a worker is the most stable job in his life. The next day, Eddie successfully stole his father's van and set off with his mother's $1 million. He drove to Logan's house. But now Logan advised him to go home. Because one side is a dream, and the other side is a fact that he can't escape. Most people are like him. They think Eddie is a psycho. However, Eddie told him about his experience. He had a leg disease when he was a child. The doctor said he couldn't do sports. He could only stay at home and read more. But the first book he read was The Glorious Moment, published by the Olympic Committee in 1972. This also made Eddie understand that he must have his own glorious moment. Only in this way can he prove that the doctor's advice is wrong. Logan was moved by Eddie, so he trained Eddie and drove his van around the world. Not long after, Eddie's score had broken 43. He trained hard again and again. He broke his own record again and again, but it was still far from enough. He was about to make his last attempt before the competition. This was their last chance. Eddie did well in balance and timing. When he saw Eddie slipping away, Logan's expression was a little surprised. He really flew 61 meters. As soon as his mother knew this, she immediately told her father, as long as Eddie can jump 61 meters the next day, he will really qualify for the Olympic Games. However, when Eddie made his last attempt, an accident happened. He failed to balance in the air and accidentally fell on the slide. He had no hope in the Olympic Games. Eddie called home and complained. His mother comforted him that everything would be fine. She would come back to take care of him. His mother was like a warm harbor and gently comforted Eddie's sadness. The next day, when Eddie was working at the restaurant, the boss gave him a letter. This time, the results of the Olympic Games have been recorded. That means Eddie can go to the Olympics. But Logan didn't want him to go to the Olympics. Because this time, the number of accidents will be the lowest. Although Eddie didn't mind taking the first place, Logan insisted that he participate in the next competition. If he trained for a few more years, he would definitely make him shine at the Olympics. He might even get a gold medal. But Eddie was looking forward to it and wanted to prove himself. They quarreled because of different opinions. From then on, they broke off the relationship. Eddie finally got what he dreamed of. Before leaving, his mother took out the cookie box from his childhood. Eddie borrowed the cookie box and said, "Don't expect me to get the medal." But his mother didn't. Even if he didn't get the medal, he would definitely love the sandwich in it. A simple hug made Eddie feel extremely warm. The 15th Winter Olympic Games will be held as scheduled. 1,700 players from 57 countries will gather here. The first player is a boy from Finland. He jumped out of the 114th place. It's Eddie's turn. His mother was waiting anxiously in front of the TV. She didn't expect anything from her son. She just wanted him to come back safely. Logan stared at the screen and cheered for him. Everything was ready. Eddie successfully jumped out of the track. He was flying in the air in his dream. As Eddie landed safely, his mother was so happy. She clapped her hands enthusiastically. Even though his son's score was only 60, it was enough to make his mother proud for the rest of her life. It's a long story. This score was broken again at the British Olympics. Eddie held the camera and said, "Mom, I love you." Then he shouted out loud to the audience and made everyone laugh. He was so happy that he forgot his ridiculous behavior. The audience was also touched by his passion. They stood up and applauded for him. He was the last one in time. But he was as happy as an eagle. He enjoyed the glory of this moment. Because of this, he got a nickname. It's not because of Eddie, but from the perspective of the national team, he is a ridiculous clown. They don't even allow him to attend the dinner party. However, because of Eddie's unreasonableness, the press regarded him as a business celebrity. He became popular. He almost stepped on all the excellent players. Interviews kept coming. There were a lot of fans around him every day. At this year's Olympics, there were even different comments. The British commentator quoted an Olympic comment. "The spirit of the Olympics is no longer about winning or losing, but about participation. The key to life is no longer about winning or fighting." Eddie called Logan when he was in his prime. He wanted Logan to know that his approach was correct. But Logan threw a cold shower at him. That's why so many fans like him now. It's just a fleeting moment. No one will take it seriously. Once the 90-meter jumping competition starts, it will soon be forgotten by everyone. Eddie is not a fool. He knows the truth. But it's still hard to accept this reality. He sits on the empty audience. He saw the players coming down in a hurry. He made a big decision. He called a press conference and said they should pay more attention to better athletes, not to themselves like clowns. He also apologized for his state a few days ago, but he was very serious about skiing. In the end, he said something that shocked everyone. He wanted to challenge the 90-meter jumping that he had never tried. Logan found Eddie on the audience, and he wanted to challenge the 90-meter high jump with him. While reaching out to Eddie, he also saved his soul. His mother was very worried about her child. He asked his father how high the 90-meter jump was all day long. He won the competition very quickly. Logan repeated the action again and again. After all, even after more than 10 years of training, it is very likely to fall directly into the grave. For Eddie, who jumped the 90-meter jump for the first time, it was a desperate attempt. Logan asked Eddie not to be stressed and take a step back. Enjoy the glorious moment brought by skiing. In a blink of an eye, the two have arrived at the competition site. Everyone was cheering for Eddie. Logan told him not to care about the ranking and not to think about how far he could fly. As long as he landed safely, it was time for Eddie to take the stage. He only took a year of special training and stood at such a high place. When he saw his son on TV, his mother sighed. She hoped her son would come back safely. Those who didn't like him said he was not suitable for the voice of an athlete. He heard his voice again. Logan looked at Eddie. He was worried. What made you unable to achieve your goal in life? I thought everyone would talk about money and time. Is it your job, your origin, or your perseverance and determination? No, it's not. The answer for most people is fear. It will make you worry and unable to sleep. Fear will make you go nowhere. It will also make you turn to an easier way of life. Even completely give up your goal. How many people can remember their dreams? Many people will be frightened by the result of their imagination. They will give up. This is a complete failure. Eddie overcame the fear in his heart again. He just let go of his hand and enjoyed his glorious moment. When Eddie saw the result, he was very excited. Although he was the last one, it was also a new record for him. It doesn't matter if he can get the first place. Even if it's a fantasy dream, only he can enjoy it. He fought for it with passion. Even if he got nothing in the end, it was also the eternal perfection. In the end, it's more reliable to buy a car. You can choose it at home.